Good afternoon to everybody out there. My name is Sandeep Ragurajan, and I'm going to start the session related to Netsight, which is what I'm going to cover today. So we are into the third week into the Purple Talk, and so this week I'll be covering about Netsight alarm creation, customization, and use cases alone. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes so that we can get more people joining the call. And if there is anybody having issues joining, you can probably ping me so that we can see. You can join the chat on the link meeting. So that everybody is aware, you can also listen to the audio from the link that is given through link, and you can also, if you got any issues, problems listening to the audio, you can dial into the conferencing number which is given on top through your phone or your cell phones. It's a toll-free number in India. You can dial the 7-digit access code to join the audio as well. So I think we can start for now based on how many other people have joined. So as I mentioned, today we'll be covering Netsight, which is the NMS tool. And so previously we had Ridgeline, and slowly that has been phased out, and we are currently we are using Netsight, which is what we are selling nowadays, and it's one of the best tools that you can that is available in the market today. So in the topics covered, we will look into Netsight introduction. I'll give you a brief introduction of what Netsight is, and just what are the applications that it supports. And since we don't have much time, we can only cover small parts of Netsight. So today I'll be covering alarm configuration. Maybe some other time I'll be looking into other features that it supports. But for now, I will be covering only alarm configuration. We'll see how we can customize the alarm configuration and a couple of use cases that have helped with configuring Netsight. So basically, with Netsight, you can uh, you have a unified LAN WAN management system, in the sense like it's a one fabric center. You can access, I mean, you can control, or you can add your devices, your uh, wireless devices and the wired devices. All everything can be supported in one NMS network management tool. So which is pretty good, because you can just, sitting on your desktop, you can just sit and manage both your wired and your wireless devices, and it is pretty useful because uh, it even helps in troubleshooting. You can make any changes to and the changes can be pushed on to several devices and in one shot. You do not have to specifically go down to the location. You can get information about the ports, where the devices are connected, how they are connected, topology, etc. Everything just on your desktop. You can just, sitting in your desktop, you can do that. You can also upgrade all the devices in one shot. You can schedule the upgradation if you say you are not available at one particular time. and you want to do the upgradation in the night, you can schedule the upgradation. You can save the configuration. You can schedule configuration backup, everything. Just basically management of all the devices sitting on your desktop. And it's there are several other things as well, like such as policy deployment. You can assign policies to certain users, or we'll cover all that while in the next slides as we go through. So this is your dashboard for Netsight. So after installing Netsight, uh, so once you log in to the Netsight dashboard, this is what you will see. So you have some applications running here, which is if you see, it's console, OneView, automated security manager, inventory manager, NAC manager, and policy manager. All the applications are Java based except OneView, which is not Java based. And so each application has its own functions. So if you take console has got you can add all your devices on Netsight from console. So you have all your devices listed, and you can create groups. You can create a topology from console. So you can view what VLANs are there in the switches, what is the IP address of the switches, what location it's based on, every information at your fingertips. So all you have to do is just click on certain tabs, and you have all the information about your devices in console. OneView is another tool as well. You have a lot of reporting on in OneView. You can get uh, a lot of information like port-based, bandwidth utilization, highest port, and number of high CPU utilization reports. A lot of reports, and you can customize the reports as well. So that's one good thing with OneView. Then you have the automated security managers. So automated security manager, basically it provides security management functionality. So it actually uniquely it captures event information from multiple sources, and it resolves the threat to a specific user or switchboard, which means basically you get information about the threat at the port level where the user is connected. And with this you can determine what you want to do with that user, whether you want to quarantine the user, or you want to take what other remediation actions that you want to take for this user. So that's what is basically security manager. And what it does is actually it combines features of your IPS, which is basically intrusion prevention system, with the Netsight Compass and the Netsight Policy Manager. All these are joined together to provide an effective defense against the threats to the network. So people who are not aware of the Compass feature, it's actually a feature you find in console of Netsight, where you all you have to do is provide the IP address or the MAC address of any end system or a user or a VIP phone, and Compass can search all the it'll poll the devices, and it can give you information up to the port level, basically layer 2 port level, where the end system is exactly connected. It can give you that information as well. So it's a pretty uh, effective tool to use. So that's about automated security manager. Then we have inventory manager. So as the name suggests, this is where you do the upgradation of the devices. You basically have your mm, images all stored in the Netsight, and you can upgrade several devices at the same time. All of the devices or a few devices at the same time, and you can schedule the upgradation. You can this is where you can uh, back up the configuration, save the configuration, schedule configuration backups. So these are the things you can do with inventory manager. And then you have NAC manager. With NAC Manager, actually, it provides secure policy-based management for extreme networks, mobile IAM, and NAC solutions. Mobile IAM is basically uh, BOIOD, which is done correctly, actually. So, what the NAC Manager has a lot of features. We'll discuss a few of them, like uh, NAC configuration is one of them. In that, it lets you manage the end user connection experience and control network access, basically. So you decide on how the end user needs to connect and uh, what access he needs to get. So basically NAC. And it also, another feature is assessment and remediation, where it supports agent-based and agent-less security assessment of the end systems. So basically, agent-based means there is an application running on the end-user systems, and that's constantly sending updates to the NAC manager. And so, in simple terms, if you say, for example, say you have some user and his antivirus is not updated, so what you can do is he will get a, for example, if you got NAC manager running and if you configured it correctly, so you have the end user is going to get a pop-up telling him that, okay, your antivirus is not updated, and you need to click on this link, update it, and he's given few days depending on how you configured it. And then if he updates it, he's given access to the network. Or even after few days, if he's not updating, you can configure it so that his network access is blocked, and then all he has access to is to upgrade the antivirus. So after upgrading the antivirus, again he can get access back into the network. This is basically what NAC Manager does. Then we have Policy Manager. So there are several other features as well with NAC Manager. I'm just giving you a very brief introduction because we need to cover alarms as well. So we'll need to go into that quickly. So next we have Policy Manager. Policy Manager actually enables the creation and deployment of role-based policies that it actually dynamically controls user access, network security, etc. So basically, you create policies and you can just push it down to several devices at the same time using Policy Manager. So that's about the introduction for Netsight. So this is all what is supported. We also have another tool called as Purview. It's an application analytics tool that can also be included with Netsight, and then everything can become a very powerful tool for controlling how people access the network. So console alarms. Actually, you can configure alarms. So basically, what you want is why you would not we need to configure alarms is that say you want notifications to come to you when the device goes down or the port goes down. Depending on what you want, you can configure the alarms. There are several ways you can do it. Uh, you can configure the alarms from the console and even from one view. So from console, once you've logged in, this is how it will look like. So on the left hand side, you see all the IP addresses of the devices that are listed, and on the right, if you see it shows the IP address. It shows what type of device it is, what is the firmware that's running, the boot ROM version, the MAC address, chassis ID. It'll even, if you configure the location on the devices, even the location will be displayed. So there's a lot of information in console, but today I just want to focus on alarms. So if you see on the top here, you see a bell on the top. So if you click on the bell, that's where the alarm manager is. Or you can go into tools on the top, which will with the drop down, and that will also give you access to the alarm manager. So what it basically does is you can configure it to send you an email in case some condition happens, say a switch goes down or port goes down, or you want not to be notified when the CPU usage on a particular device is high, and you can trigger the alarm. You can track the alarm until the problem is restored, or you can automatically configure it to for the alarm to be cleared uh, for a certain action. Let's say, for example, you have an alarm for a port when a port goes down. So you can create a clear alarm when the port comes back up, so that you don't have to keep configuring the alarm. So when the port goes down, you're going to get a notification, and when the port comes back up, the clear alarm will clear that alarm. So there are three ways that you can do it. So if you see down here, this is one of the emails, sample emails that is sent to you automatically after you've configured it. And so here what it says is that there's no ICMP reply from the device. That's one of the reasons why the alarm was created. And it sends you an alarm telling you that, an email telling you that it's lost connectivity to the device. So it lists the IP address, the device name, so what happened at what particular time it came. So you can that is one of the actions that it can take. I'll show you exactly what other actions that it can take. So I told you, if you click on the bell which says, so that's where you'll be taken to the alarm manager. So on the right hand side, the window that you see here is what the alarm manager looks like. I'm just quickly going to log into console. So once you click on console, it downloads the app, and that's how you join. So we'll just wait for it to come back up. By then we'll just go through the rest of the slides. Okay, we have it here. So this is the alarm manager page. So if you look on the top right hand corner, you have a tab which says new alarm. So that's what you need to click on and create the alarm for Netsight. So you can give it any name you want depending on what is the alarm that you want created. There are several alarms that are already created that you see listed here uh, after the serial numbers 1, 2, 3. So you will see the alarm names. So that tells you the alarms that are already created and saved here. So if you want to create any new alarms, you can click on the new alarm tab and configure it. And then you have the severity of the alarm. Depending on how severe you want the alarm to be, you can configure it as critical or just informational, or if it is a clear alarm. So depending on that varies from person to person. For some people, port going down may be very critical, so they may configure it as critical. But for some people, it may just be an edge switch, and they do not want to be keep it as critical. So based on that, you need to configure the alarms and how you need it. And so if you see, there is below, if you come down, there is a criteria based on what criteria you want the alarms to be triggered. So you can trigger it based on the on an event or trap. I will just show you. Let's see if we have console here. Okay. So I just clicked on the alarm tab, So here, if you see on the left hand side, so if you click on the event trap severity, uh, so you can configure it based on traps or events, or traps and events. So traps are basically devices inform the NMS network management system by sending a message to the NMS telling the NMS that some event has occurred or something has gone wrong. Say probably the port has gone down. You can configure a trap to send it. Generally, the NMS will poll the devices to get information on whether the port has gone down or the CPU has gone down. But traps are used to the devices themselves can send a notification to the NMS without waiting for the polling. So that's what it does, the traps. And so you can configure based on events and traps severity. So here, if you click, you can configure the severity. Actually, for the alarm, this is what is the severity that you will choose. This is only for the event. So, and then there are some predetermined traps, I mean predefined traps, MIBs that basically. So if you click on here, so I chose select a trap and then edit traps. So here you have all the supported MIBs that are defined here. So if you see, there is a lot of information about Cabletron. So if you want about information about extreme supported MIBs, it's all given here on the left. So based on what is the alarm that you're going to configure, you will choose the MIBs and then you choose this arrow, and you can see this information populated to the right, and then you click on apply. So which means you are using only traps to create and to trigger an alarm. And after this, you can also use custom criteria. Custom criteria is a very powerful tool actually, because if not every trap is available, so you would need to customize the alarms using this tool. So yeah, it is a very powerful tool actually. Uh, so here you have a lot of information you can match based on create based on severity, match based on category. So in category you have a lot of things like SNMP, MSTP, application. There's a lot of information here. Most useful will be this actually. This is what many people will use. This is actually matching on information text. Let me see. Okay. So this is basically matching on information text. That is, you are going to trigger the alarm based on some particular name or uh, something like that. You know, one specific name in the log. You can send the log from the devices to Netsight, and Netsight will, when it finds that name, it's going to trigger that alarm. So this is pretty useful actually. Match on information text. We'll see one of the use cases that we helped with uh, in at a later stage. So if you go here, actually you can type in the name here and add to the list. So for example, you can add a name like, say for example, radius, and if you give add to list, and if you come down, you're going to find, see, so radius is listed here, and you choose it, and we'll see how that can be configured at a later stage. So that's uh, for custom criteria. This will be for if you're losing contact to the devices, you can trigger the alarm. So this will be for contact established and contact lost, or you want for both, you can configure. And this will be for threshold, like after how many values you want that alarm to be triggered. Sometimes you will have a port flapping, and you do not want to be notified every time. You can go like maybe after 50 flaps it can notify you, something like that. So that's for that. This is by flow. flow criteria. And under flow criteria, if you can choose like flows from the network, from the port, time to live, like that. And another good tool is here is you can select the devices that needs to send you the alarm. Like you can leave out some and you can keep some. So whichever devices that needs to send you the notification, you can select those groups from here. So if you select the groups here, these are the groups that are already created. I will show you how to create the group as well. So that is also a very useful tool. And the next tab is the action tab. Under the action tab, you can get it to send you an email or send a notification to send the logs to a syslog server or a trap server. You can get it to uh, get a run a custom program or a script on a Netsight server if an alarm is triggered, and that is what you'll use this for. And you can also suppress the alarm using the tab down here. So you can say like send the alarm after like 5 counts or something like that, or and how many days or and how many hours you need to send it, how often you need. So you can suppress the alarms using that. So this is what I was just showing you. So what all you can do with custom criteria. This is what I just covered, so we need not go back into the same thing again. Uh, so this is what it supports basically for an alarm. It can send you an email. You can send notification to a syslog server, send an SNMP trap, or configure a program, set the alarm limit, everything. This is what we just saw. So this is one view actually. I told you can configure the alarms from console and from one view as well. So if you log into one view, this is how you will see. Uh, Basically, you have a lot of tabs, and on the top you will see alarms and events. So the configuration is actually basically the same here under one view, and for console it is the same. It does the same thing. So on the left hand side, if you click on add, you get the similar options that you get in console. Like you can give it a new name for an alarm, choose the severity, choose what criteria you want, choose the action that you wanted to deliver. You want to suppress the alarm, or you want to, however you want to customize the alarm. You can do a lot of things as well. Same thing. It's basically the same thing on both on console and from one view. So this is how it looks through one view. So what I want to do now is I I'll go through some use cases so that you get an idea as to how you can configure an alarm. I'll configure an alarm as well, so that you get an idea as to normally uh, people have different requests for triggering an alarm. We've gone through a lot, and some one of the issues that I got were like the customer did not want notifications for all the ports which were going up and down. Like he only wanted for a specific only the uplink ports. If it goes down, he wanted an alarm to be triggered. So that is right actually. So in this case, what we did is uh, Netsight is very flexible in these cases. So if you see, all you have to do is create a separate device port group or a group in console. and identify the identify the uplink ports and the switches. Uh, that is the next step. And the third step would be to configure the alarm for the when the ports go up and down, and assign the alarm for the uplink port group alone. So first create the device port group, identify the uplink ports on the switches, configure the alarm for the ports, and then assign the alarm for the uplink port groups alone. So in this way, what will happen is only the uplink ports, the alarm will be only triggered when the uplink ports go up or down. So we will see that. I just So from console, if you want to get information about the ports, all you have to do is select all the devices, select the port tab here, and there's a play button here. You just click on it. It's going to pull the information and give you exact information about whether the port is up or down, what device is connected, what IP address. There's a lot of information here actually. What is the MTU size of that port? Everything you can get for all the devices. You can actually turn on and shut down or bring the ports back up from here itself. You can just sitting from your desk. You don't even have to log into the device. From here you can do that. So now, for example, what I will do is I will identify certain ports which are which I'll say are uplink ports, for example. So first I'm going to create the port group. I'm sorry. So you go here, you click on the devices here, and you come here down. It says add device group. So we will call this group as uplink port group. So if you see here on the left hand side, a group has been formed. So you can create anything, you can customize it to your liking. Whatever group you want to create, you can create. You want for a certain location, you can create. So now I'm just creating for the uplink ports. Let's say using the control tab, control button, I'm choosing several ports. You can choose from different devices, and then you right click on it and you say add devices to group. So here you get uh, the uplink port group is displayed here, and you choose that and you go OK. So if you see here, 3 devices have been added as it's actually the ports that have been added. That's first. So you create the port group, and then you create identify the uplink ports. That's what I've done. Then what you need to do is you need to go into Alarm Manager. So this is the Alarm Manager. So you can so I clicked on a new alarm, and from new alarm I give it a name which is like uplink port down. You can call it whatever you want, and you click on OK. So you see that the new alarm has been created now, but you still need to configure it. So uplink port down you say, and you enable the alarm. I would generally say it's critical because you don't want the uplinks to go down. And the criteria would be there are traps for the ports going down, so you can predefined traps are there, MIBs are there, so you can just have to search for it. So SNMP links down, SNMP traps links down. So you choose this and you apply it. So that's for the trap. So your device is going to send you a notification, I mean a trap, when the port goes down. And the so you go down here after that. So you need to assign it to the port group. So you come here and you choose the port group, then you go OK. So which means only the switches that are or the ports which are there in this group will send the notification for when the port goes down. So then after that you can choose what action you want. You can get it to email you. So if you are sending, if you want to email you, you have to actually initially configure the mails. So that for that you will have to go here under this tab which says set mail config. So you would configure the SMTP server here, details here. So you put in the address, the SMTP password. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to request it to send me an email, and that's what, and just apply. So I would not be exactly able to show you when the port goes down or when the email is whether the email is being sent, but because I don't have access to that now right now. But that is one of the use cases. So it does work because I've configured it for one customer, and it works immediately actually. So as soon as the uplink ports go down, you're going to get a notification. That's one. And the second scenario that I had, so I just took some screenshots so in case I don't get access to the devices. Okay, for scenario 2, what I wanted to discuss, the use case was to trigger alarms when configuration change is done on the switch. So this is another issue that the customer had come up with, and uh, they wanted an alarm to inform them that some configuration changes happened on the switch. So this is what generally everybody needs, because they do not want anybody accessing the switch and making changes to it. So so for this, what you need to first do is, so if you are using switches, you need to log into the switch and get the switch to log to write on the log when configuration has changed. For that, the command that you will use is enable CLI config logging. So what this does is actually any configuration change that happens, it will be written onto the log so that anybody can see it. That is the first step. So any person who's logging in, his username details will be there, and what is the command he used, what is the time, date, etc. will be logged onto the switch first. So this is the first thing. And next thing is, what you need to do is you need to configure Netsight as the syslog server uh, for for the switches. So there are commands for that. So you have to configure Netsight for that, and the switches will send all the logs to Netsight, and Netsight will be the syslog server for those. And what you need to do is, using the custom criteria. The third step is, using the custom criteria, you need to uh, trigger the alarm based on certain words. And like what I used was, in exhaust, you would be using commands like configure, enable, create, disable. So all these words you have to, uh, using the custom criteria, you have to add these words to Netsight, and whenever it finds this information, is going to trigger an alarm. Uh, I can show you the custom part. I did discuss it some time back, so but we'll just see how that is done. So basically, Netsight will be the syslog server for these devices, all these devices, and it's receiving logs. So you can actually from here you can see what are the logs that are coming in. So if you come down here, it says syslog, so it's telling you what are the logs that are coming into Netsight. So what Netsight now has to do is it certain words it needs to capture. So we do not have any trap for these kind of alarms to be configured. So for this, what we are doing is we are using certain names or words, and using the custom criteria, we are configuring Netsight to send an alarm. So you come here and under criteria, you go to custom criteria. So you go to edit criteria. So here you can choose match on log manager. You can go for syslog, and then match on information text you can go for. And here you need to add the names or the words that you want Netsight to catch. So that will be like configure. Okay, it says it's already exists, or enable. So what all commands you can possibly give? You don't have to give the full commands. You just have to because exhaust switches are very easy to configure. It starts with few phrases like create, configure, unconfigure, enable, uh, delete. So you only have to add these words. So you will add to the list. So if you see, if you come down, you can see all those words are added. So you will choose configure, create, enable, and you can so and you'll give OK. So which means that that alarm has been created. I just gave an example. So you for this also you will have to use the new alarm tab, and so you can give it a new name, whatever name you want to give it, and like config changed, you can give it a new name, and then using system custom criteria you can enable that alarm. So it's a pretty useful tool. Actually, you can do a lot of things here. There is so much of information here uh, that you can play around with and you can learn. So I can't cover everything with the time that that has been given to me. This is basically about the alarm configuration in Netsight. I hope this was useful. So next we will go into some question answers that I have prepared. Uh, so the question here is alarms can be configured from which of the following applications in Netsight? So the options given are inventory manager, NAC manager, console, OneView. So these are two applications each, and policy manager, automated security manager, NAC manager, and policy manager. So alarms can be configured from which of the following applications in Netsight? So the answer would be the second one, which is console and OneView. So with both you can configure the alarms. In policy manager or automated security manager, you do not have alarms. But in NAC manager, you can get notifications to your email, etc. But that's different. But for alarms, you can only do it through console and OneView. Next question will go. Alarms can be configured to take the following actions when triggered. I told you what actions that it can uh, take when alarms are configured. So you can get so the options are email notification, syslog, send SNMP trap, run a program, or all of the above. I hope everybody says all of the above, because it actually you can do everything in this. It can send you an email notification, send to a syslog server, send an SNMP trap, or run a particular program or a script on a Netsight server. which means it's basically all of the above. So next question is, using Netsight, you can customize the alarms to be triggered based on keywords in the logs. So that was the last use case that I was showing. So the answer is true. You can do a lot using Netsight customization tool, custom criteria tool, and so the answer is true for this as well. So that's all for now about Netsight. We do not want to keep these sessions too long so that it gets too boring and people do not want to listen much, and it's after hours after lunch as well, so we want to keep it short. So every week we will be conducting these sessions like this, so webinars. So please do join in. I hope this was useful to everybody, and I just want to pass on as much as information to everybody as much as possible. Do tell your colleagues as well to join in. It'll be for a very short time, and you can get a lot of information about it. So thank you for joining in, and thank you, and you guys have a great day. Bye bye.